hands. So anyway, we're getting ready to start now. I'm going to sit kind of close to the computer to start with because I want to admit people if they come in a little bit later. But let's find a sitting position that's comfortable for us and sit up straight and tall. So just draw the spine in and up, and especially thinking of the sacrum. So lift the sacrum up and move the sacrum in and move the belly button up and back sort of to meet that, and then spine lifts up. So sternum up, collarbones up. The whole idea of sitting posture, of course, is to keep the front body as long and tall as you can, and then to take the shoulder skin away from the back of the head. So the shoulders have the complicated action of moving down. The skin on the shoulders moves down, but the shoulder blades themselves move forward to help the lift of the chest. We're going to start this evening. Don't worry, honey, I think I know who I am. We're going to start with a mudra, and I'm going to mute everybody just so we don't have any. And so if you want to sass me, just unmute yourself and sass away. But the mudra is the Ganesha mudra, and you know that I'm not a mudra expert. I'm learning just the same as you are from Joe. So I'm not teaching you a mudra. We're going to do one together. And we have learned this from her. But Ganesh is the elephant god, and he is such an important one because he's the remover of obstacles. So that is what we need in our lives, and that's what we're going to practice. So I'm going to sit back a little bit so that you are going to move the computer down. Let's begin with taking our left hand. So you take your left hand and you move the palm away from you. And then you make, you tighten your fingers. And then you take your right hand and you grasp those fingers with, so remember this one we've done with Joe? And so then you sit up really tall. And you draw your elbows away from each other. Now, I wanted to tell you something that I read about this mudra. There's an affirmation that goes along with it. And I know we don't do affirmations in Iyengar yoga, but this one is just exactly what we need. And it is, I meet others with courage, openness, and confidence. Yes. Sit up straight and tall. Sit up straight and tall. Just draw your shoulder skin down. You can close your eyes now. You can close your eyes now and just be in your own body and move your elbows away from each other. You actually create some tension with your fingers, and that creates some tension in your arms. And then your job is to relax all that tension. Take the shoulder skin down. Everything should just be very centered and breathing. And now we're gonna undo that and open our eyes for a second. And now we're gonna do it the other way. So we don't always do it the other way, but now we are. So you take your right hand and turn the palm away from you and then grasp your fingers like that. And then, Kristen, I didn't plan this for you, but you will enjoy the finish of this one. So the elbows move away, the chest moves up. You're trying to be soft. You can close your eyes again. When you close your eyes, you can probably even notice more how the side body needs to support this arm movements. You know, right through the armpit chest, you're getting quite a lot of work. So your rib cage wants to support that from the waist up. Now, here's the one for you, Kristen. Now you're supposed to, with your eyes closed, you take this mudra and place it lovingly on your sternum. Don't press. Just touch your sternum with this mudra and keep your eyes closed. And now undo your hands, open your eyes, and bring your hands down. So I don't know if you appreciated that, Kristen, but I thought that was funny that we were going to really try to touch our sternum lovingly. All right, now we're going to sit on the simple cross legs the other way. So I'm going to move back now. So sitting in simple cross legs, just bring your left knee, left ankle over your right knee. So bring your ankle over your knee and try to levelize your shin. So this is just, it's very personal because you either can do it or you're going to struggle with it. Because if your knee is way up on this side, for me, this is an easy side, but maybe for you, this is really one where it's like so. Most of us aren't like that. So you take your hand to your left knee and you just press it down and away. And you'll start to feel the IT band, and then sit up really tall. Just be really tall in your posture and you're centering your spine. So you can only do so much to press your knee down. You know, you're being careful, of course. So just be here for a second, and then we'll switch and go to the other side. So now the right ankle over the left knee. So a lot of times, this is figure 4, of course, we do this on our back, but I wanted to do this tonight sitting upright. And because sometimes when you sit upright, you get a little bit different perspective. You can actually see this. And having done this for many years, things have evened out quite a bit. And you probably feel that too, that even though there's a slight difference between the two sides, they get better. So now cross your legs the first way, if you remember whatever that was. And then take your left hand to your right knee and your right hand behind you, and I'm going to mirror you and just sit up really tall. So when you sit up tall, center yourself as well so that you don't feel like you're leaning over one direction or another, and then just gradually, with awareness, start twisting. So breathing and twisting. So your left ribs are going to start coming around, and your right ribs are going to start moving back. But the most important thing is to stay centered. Don't get out of that. Stay really centered. And then draw your shoulders down in case they've lifted, and just breathe and go. So inhale, lift up through the front body, exhale down the back body, and then come back to center and go the other way. So now your right hand on your left knee and your left hand behind you, and sit up really tall. So maybe one side to the other, you know, it's harder to feel centered. So then you might have to do a little more work. Maybe you have to hold the buttock down on the other side to stay centered and start turning. And lifting up with your breathing on the inhale and turning on the exhale. So the front body skin moves up on the inhale and the back body skin moves down on the exhale, and you turn. And we all know how far we can turn and how far we are going to turn right now, and then come back to center. And then cross your legs the second way and take your right hand down to the floor and your left arm up and over. So just a nice gentle curve, not anything too extreme. Sometimes we really get into it, but now we're just being soft. But now do notice the left buttock. If you can keep it down, that would be great. And come back up. And now put your left hand down and your right arm up, and then you're going to go over to that other side. So it's just gentle, but kind of awakening. And hopefully centering as well, because you have to remember to keep centering and then come back. Now, we're going to start tonight with dog pose. So Kristen, if you do any kind of a dog pose, great, but we're going to go from dog pose. We're starting a dog pose tonight. So hands and knees for everybody, and press your hands down and come into your beautiful pose. And then Carol, so just seeing how that feels for you, whether you'd like to use a chair, just see what you think. You'll know. Good. Okay, so I'm starting to see some very nice poses. Trying to center yourself in dog pose is interesting too, because you're so aware of your side body, but what about your spine? So you want to think even here, the spine is moving a little closer to the front body. And the minute I said that, it's funny how unconsciously we just know that. And so we start moving toward our front body a little bit more, and lift your sit bones up. So the sit bones up, when you think about your lower back, you might want to think about your hamstrings. And so if you need to protect your hamstrings by bending your knees, please do. But otherwise, the higher you can get your hamstrings and your sit bones to go up, the more your lower back will appreciate it. And breathe, and breathe. Beautiful, beautiful poses. Nice. Really good. So now that we've been here a moment, reassess your situation. And if you're feeling tired, then you might start thinking about coming down. Otherwise, stay for another 30 seconds or so, where you're using your arm strength and you're extending your side body and you're using your legs more now. The legs really have to start doing more. So do that. And then come down, child's pose. Polly, your dog does not know child's pose. I enjoy all the animals. They're so much fun. Okay, that wasn't a long child's pose. You can come up now. The next pose tonight is Shirshasana. Now, Shirshasana could be legs up the wall if that would be best for you. But otherwise, however you do Shirshasana, against a wall, if you use chairs, if you use any support at all, get what you need and prepare. Shirshasana is such a calming pose, really. And so as you go into your Shirshasana, using the strength of the whole forearms down and shoulders up action, if you're using some other form of support, that's great too. But if you're in the traditional Shirshasana, it is definitely forearms down as much as you can and wrists down. If you could keep your wrists completely down, that would really help your pose. And then side body long, and side body now includes the torso and the legs, not to mention the sides of the arms. So your side body now is from your elbows all the way up to your heels. And so extend up that direction, and your middle body, your center body goes along too. So stretch up through your inner legs as much as you can, but the outer legs also stretch up, and from the hip to the heels, so stretch up. Now, shoulders have to keep lifting. You don't want any weight in your neck. You definitely want weight in your head, but not your neck. And that's where your shoulders come in. Keep lifting your shoulders up and extending up and breathing. And now if you're in traditional Shirshasana, and I think even otherwise, if you're at the wall and doing some other version, take your feet slightly apart. So draw your legs slightly apart, maybe 3-4 inches, and stretch up now through the inner legs so that you really feel the connection between the spine, the center body, and the inner legs. Pull the inner legs up. And then the outer legs too, from the hip to the feet, and then draw your legs back together. Draw your legs back together and breathe. If you're in Shirshasana, now take your legs much wider. And if you're in the ropes, I don't know, Katie, you probably have that board that separates it, but otherwise, sometimes even in ropes, you can take your legs a little bit wide. So in Shirshasana, take your legs wide. Yeah, nice. That's nice. So that always looks to me so nice. But I especially like the way it feels for some reason. So stretching your legs apart, beautiful. Now bring them back up. Good. Now bring your feet into Baddha Konasana if you're still with me. Because if you come down, you need to come down. That's just great. But Baddha Konasana, that looks good. That looks good. Baddha Konasana looks really nice. So Baddha Konasana, using your feet consciously, using your heels, using your toes, using everything to connect, and then just taking your knees as wide as you can. But now bring your knees back together and stretch your legs back up. Good. If you've come down from Shirshasana, then you want to do child's pose. I think that's what we're going to do in a few minutes. Not a few minutes, don't get worried. It's not going to be a few minutes. Oh, in about 10 minutes we'll be doing child's pose. No, we have about 30 seconds left. If you want to stay. Now, it might be time for you to come down if you need. But if you want to stay, it's just going to be 30 seconds more. And breathe. And now everybody come down carefully. Use your forearms, press down with your forearms to come down safely. And then child's pose for everyone. So come up now, and we're going to stand in Tadasana to start, but we're also going to have 2 blocks. So the props that we're going to need, we're going to do a few different things here right now. And blocks is really all you will need, except maybe a blanket, and you'll see why you might need a blanket. But so stand in Tadasana between your 2 blocks. So you're standing in between your blocks in Tadasana. So lining yourself up best you can with your back body more aware than usual. And bring your arms up overhead, Urdhva Hastasana. And stretch up through the fingertips. And then turn your thumbs forward, bring your arms down. And then bend your knees, put your hands on the blocks, step your feet back for Uttanasana, concave back. So stepping your feet back, then look down at your feet so that you don't overwork your neck to start with, and use your thighs really strongly to kind of anchor yourself and draw your abdomen forward, your ribs forward, your chest forward, and your chin forward, but take the shoulder skin back. If you feel like the shoulder skin is inching up toward your neck, then undo and don't let that happen. Completely take care of that so that the shoulder skin is moving away from the back of the neck and the legs are really strong. And breathe. Now take your hands back by your hips, palms up. Inhale, lift up with a very strong legs and come up. And then take your blocks away, downward facing dog. So actually, I say take your blocks away, and I mean don't have them close because you might kick them. We don't want you to kick them. Downward facing dog. So really stretch back through your legs. We've already done one, so this will be even better. So armpits as wide open as possible, legs as strong as possible. Just stretch into your best downward facing dog. Then look forward, bend your knees, and bring your right foot to the outside of your right hand and breathe. So when you get there, when you finally get to this place where your knee is bent to the outside of your shoulder, Then lift your chest forward and keep your left thigh up and breathe. And then move that leg back, downward facing dog. And then do the same with the left leg, bring the left foot forward. So then you're in this, it's a lunge, but it's to the outside of your left arm. So it's not, you have to just be really conscious of your right leg staying upright, lifting your chest forward, breathing. And bring your foot back, downward facing dog. So in downward facing dog, just enjoying it, enjoying the breathing. And now walk your feet forward into an Uttanasana. Grab those blocks and put them in front of you, concave back, Uttanasana, concave back. And really the main thing here is to get that shoulder skin moving away from the back of your neck. So that however you can do that is your best thing that you can do right now. Breathe. Now, take your hands off the blocks, back by your hips, palms up, firm your thighs, inhale, lift up, and then stand between the blocks. Bring your arms up overhead, Urdhva Hastasana. Bend your knees, put your hands on the block, step your left foot back. Right knee is in a lunge. Back leg is really strong. So as nicely as you can do that without losing the arms, without losing anything like that, then we're going to bend the left knee and put it down on the floor. And we're going to put our hands on our right thigh. So this is a low lunge. The first one was the lunge. And now just take your hands beside you, like Tadasana arms. Turn your thumbs forward, backwards. Bring your arms up over your head. And then just take your hands back a little bit if you can. And breathe. And now bring your hands back to the blocks. Lift your left knee up, back to this original lunge, and bring your left foot forward. And then stand between the blocks again, Tadasana. Urdhva Hastasana. Bend your knee. Well, you have to bend your knees, bring your hands down, and then step your right leg back so your left leg is in this lunge. It's in a square. Keep lifting your chest forward. Back leg is really strong. Breathe. Bring your right knee down. And then put your hands on your thigh. This is where I learned that I don't have very good balance in the low lunge. It's easier in the high lunge. I guess my knee is not very good balancer. Take your hands beside you, as in Tadasana, and turn your thumbs back. Bring your arms up in this sweeping action. Take your arms back. Breathe. Bring your hands back to the block. Lift your right knee up, back to this original lunge, and then bring your right foot forward. Tadasana. Good. Now take those blocks away. We're not going to need them. But we're going to do another little flow. And this one we're going to do more than once. And it's just a nice one. So downward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Just stretching through the arms, stretching through the legs, stretching through the torso, everything we know. Breathe, bring your right foot to the outside of your right hand, and then be here for a moment. So you have the connection between your knee and your shoulder. It's not, you don't need that for any other reason then to keep your knee from wandering over to the right, keep lifting your chest forward. And now bring the right leg back, dog pose. Bring the left leg forward, lunge. Go back to downward facing dog, using your legs. Come forward into plank. Stretch your heels back, your chest forward. And then think of the outside of your arms as being particularly strong, so that from you just really use the strength of your outer arms. Breathe, bring your knees down, cat pose. Make yourself into a cat, a Halloween cat. And then cow pose. Lift your chest forward through your upper arms. Nice long torso. The front body is so nice on the cow pose. But then go back to the cat pose, where the front body starts moving up toward the back body. The back body is much longer now. Breathe. Come forward into the cow pose. And now separate your knees to the edge of your sticky mat. Bring your toes together, child's pose. Just a nice long child's pose. Long through the torso, long through the side body. Breathe in. Come back up, bring your knees back toward each other, not together, but more under the hips, dog pose. So the way I've kind of worked on this little flow is I really never moved my hands or feet from the position that they're in right now. But you'll see how that goes. Open your armpits, extend your torso as far away from your hands as you can, so that the side body is lengthening away, the hips are moving away. Breathe. Bring your right foot to the outside of your right hand. So lunge, breathe. Take that foot back. Left foot forward. Lunge. Left foot back. Dog pose. Come forward into plank. Bring your knees down. Cat pose. So nice cat pose. And then cow pose. So those two actions are so different, but they feel good together, don't they? Go back to the cat pose. And forward into the cow pose. And separate your knees, bring your feet together, child's pose. Dog pose. Extending everything we know about dog pose. It just gets better, I think. And this little flow, things get a little more extended for some reason. See if that's not true. Bring your right foot to the outside of your right hand. And your back leg is really important here. You're not just letting it sag, but a lot of instructions that we give, I think in this class, we don't need to say that. We know that we're squeezing the femurs with our quadriceps. Good, bring that leg back. Dog pose. Left foot forward. Just taking the whole right thigh into your awareness and just feeling like the muscles are surrounding the femur and lengthening too, back through that heel. Bring the leg back, dog pose. Come forward into plank. Bend your knees, cat pose. Forward into a cow pose. Cat pose. And another cow pose. And then separate your knees, draw your feet toward each other, child's pose. And now come back up, stand up. And we are going to use a chair. So my thought, I'm going to use a chair, but I can't put it against the wall because then I will be turned away from you. So instead, I'm not going to do that. But you could, if you have a wall, you would probably want to put the chair against it. Maybe. I don't want to tell you what to do, but I'm not going to because I want to be able to connect with you. But what we're going to do now is we're going to stand in front of the chair in Tadasana. So if you're at the wall, you can hear me. You don't have to look. You know, nothing we're going to do is something we've never done before. But right away, we're going to bring our right foot onto the chair into what would be just a right angle pose between the shin and the thigh, and then our hands on our hips. So we're just going to be here and try to create this center body from the inner left leg up through the spine toward the sternum, up, shoulder skin down toward the elbows, really. And then take your hands away from your waist and either interclasp your hands, if you can, or just take them back away from your hips. And if you can interclasp your hands, then take your hands away from your buttocks and lift your chest up. And breathe. And then put your hands on your waist, draw your elbows back, and then bring that right leg down. Back to Tadasana. Now bring your left leg up, put it on the chair, and just make sure that the knee and the ankle are connected through the shin bone, and put your hands on your waist and draw your elbows toward each other and away from your shoulders, chest up, armpits up. Breathe. Now take your hands back away from your waist and then interclasp them the other way if you are doing that. And otherwise, just take your hands down and back. But if you have interclasped them, take your hands away from your back body and lift your armpits up. So you've got quite a curve in your back, either choice now. And then that right leg is your, your standing leg. Put your hands back on your waist, elbows in, chest up, and bring your left leg down. Now put your right foot on the chair and reach for the chair back, only to stabilize yourself, to hop your left foot back. So you're going to hop your left foot back, and your right knee is going to remain over your ankle. Virabhadrasana 1 is where we're going here. So your foot is on the chair, your knee is over your ankle, your back leg is really strong. Use that left quadricep with a lot of confidence and intelligence to hold that leg back. Bring your arms up over your head. Virabhadrasana 1 on a chair. So that now, remember the low lunge where we took our hands back behind our head a little bit? See if that's available to you right now. And center your body, center your spine. Your left leg and your spine are the center, the midline. And just stretch your arms back a little bit and breathe. And then bring your arms down and bring your right leg down. And then we're going to go to the left leg on the chair, left foot on the chair, and hop our right leg back. When I've been practicing, I love Virabhadrasana 1, but especially on the chair, it's easier on the back, I think. And one of the things I think about it is it's so exuberant. As a warrior pose, you know, this is a warrior pose, but it's very exuberant. So bring your arms up over your head. And this is just a real hard opening pose. So back leg though has to counterbalance that. The back quadricep has to press into the bone like crazy to stabilize the pose. Take your arms back if you can and breathe. And then bring your arms down and bring your foot down. So Virabhadrasana 1. Let's do it one more time. So Virabhadrasana 1 with the foot on the chair. I was thinking about this compared to Virabhadrasana 2. So in Virabhadrasana 1, which we're doing, it's so exuberant. And in Virabhadrasana 2, it's so menacing, isn't it? So this is the welcome committee, and then Virabhadrasana 2 moves in. So we're not going to do Virabhadrasana 2 though. So right knee over ankle, arms up overhead. If you're at the wall, then you feel even more confident, I think. If you're like me, without the wall or without any support, I'm having to use every balance point I can. Stretch your arms back, armpits up. Not that, don't crinkle your neck. Keep your neck long by pulling your trapezius away from the back of your neck. And then bring your arms down. And bring your right leg down. And bring your left leg up, left foot up. The leg will come up too, so then the knee is over the ankle as it was before. And the back leg, so powerful, really. The quadricep into the bone, arms up overhead. So that back leg helps so much. So as you're stretching up into your Virabhadrasana 1, you just armpits open, chest open, sternum up, breathing. And then bring your arms down and bring your foot down. Now this is why I wanted you at the wall, what we're going to do now. But I don't have the wall, so I'm going to put my sticky mat on the top of my chair back. All we're going to do, and so we do this too. At the wall, remember we put our foot into the wall, and sometimes we put our foot on the top of the chair back against the wall. Maybe that's an easier class than this one. But here I am. I learned, because I knew I couldn't use the wall, that the chair top, especially with a sticky mat on it, has a really nice place for the Achilles. So stretch up with your torso, your left leg really strong, right foot pushing into the wall, and your hands beside you in Tadasana, center body. Think of your center body, and lift up through the spine, lift up through the heart, sternum, breathe. Bring your arms up overhead. Stretch your arms up. So now you've got your left leg as your standing leg. Your right foot is pushing into the wall, or in my case, into an imaginary wall. And your spine is so long. Turn your thumbs forward, bring your arms down, bring your right leg down, and then we'll go to the other side. The reason we're doing this, honestly, is because what we just did was pretty arm heavy, so I was going to give us some break from that. So that's one of the ways I think, is let's mix it up a little bit. Bring your left foot up. I have to be a little more careful. I should get in position. There we are. Okay, I'm here. I've got my foot on the top of the chair, no problem. Okay, right leg very much working in opposition to the left leg. They're partners, but your right thigh right at the top has to pull back. And your left thigh right at the top has to pull down. And your hips need to pin and breathe, arms beside you, Tadasana, bring your arms up overhead. Stretch your arms up. So feeling as centered as you can, inner right leg, spine, sternum, breathe. Bring your arms down and bring your left leg down. Chair dog. So bring yourself into a nice chair dog. Now come forward into up dog on the chair. So chair dog, then up dog. And make it a nice, easy up dog. Just sternum up, heels back, thighs active, come back to dog. Dog pose, nice long torso, spine centered, legs strong. Come forward into up dog, chest up, breathe. So you're just really going back and forth between dog and then another up dog. So dog and up dog. Good. Now, come away from the chair. We are not going to use the chair again for a while. Move the chair away. And then stand in Tadasana for a moment. So be in Tadasana with your arms beside you and your chest lifted, everything very stable. Now, because we've been doing so many things, Tadasana should feel very stable. Now lift your collarbones up as high as you can. So really up, up, up. And then right at the top of your shoulders, take the shoulder skin down and stretch your arms down. So what we're doing right now is a shoulder roll. So, and I taught this on Sunday, and it's not like this, it's not a shoulder roll like that. It's a shoulder roll that really emphasizes the lift of the front body and the collarbones up as high as possible, which then results in the shoulder skin on the back going down. So there is a slight roll, and then you bring your hands down and breathe. So now, this is the action of Cobra, actually. So take your hands in front of you, near your chest, so your elbows are beside your torso, and your hands are in front of you, and then do that action again, where the collarbones lift up so much, and then the shoulder skin moves down, and the elbows pull down. So this is just the action. It's pretty subtle. So now we're going to lie down on the floor, and we're going to have a blanket. This is just my way of working on Cobra, is to have something under my pelvis. It's also a way I work on Salambhasana, but we're not going to do Salambhasana. We're going to do Cobra. So when you lie down on your stomach in Cobra, then your legs come together. I mean, we know that Cobra means snake, but it's very hard to, oh, somebody's here. My dog is going crazy. Your legs might not be able to come together is what I'm going to say. If your legs can come right together as if they were belted, fine. But if for the sake of your lower back, you need to take your heels slightly apart and your toes together, then do that. And then be on your forearms for a second. Of course, we don't do Bhujangasana from the forearms, but just be on your forearms and lift your sternum up. Lift your sternum up first. Lift your sternum up as high as you can. Lift your collarbones up. So sternum and collarbones up, and then shoulder skin down in the back. So this is not Bhujangasana. And now, relax your chest down and put your hands beside your chest. In the instructions for a lot of these in Bhujangasana is the thumb comes to the lower fold of your chest. So it's not forward towards your armpits, it's back toward the ribs more, and draw your elbows in, and then just be here now. Just be here. You're looking at the floor and you're breathing. And now lift your shoulders away from the floor, lift your collarbones forward, and then pull your shoulder skin back. Bhujangasana, Cobra pose. And then come down. So just watch for a second, because there's two ways you could work on Cobra. One is kind of lower and one is higher. I think, honestly, that this pose is not hard on the back. I think it's easy on the back. Now, you might disagree. I think it's easy on the back, but it requires this shoulder action that I don't think is so hard either. So be on your pelvis on the blanket, hands beside, and I'll just show you. Here is kind of what I think of. So my way of doing it is to lift my shoulders off the floor first, bring my collarbones forward, then do this. So here's kind of a lower cobra, and here's a higher cobra. And I don't think it matters either way. So just come to your starting position. What will matter to you is how your back feels in the sacrum area. That's where you'll feel this. So I don't want you to go to where it's bad. I want you to go where it's good. Okay, elbows in toward the ribs, hands down very confidently, shoulders up away from the floor, collarbones away from the ribs, shoulder skin down, cobra. And then come down. Now take your hands back by your hips and just rest your head for a moment. Or you could have your forearms in front of you and rest your head on your forearms if you like. All right, now let's do this again. So we're going to be on our belly, on our pelvis, really. And I should have said this, but you probably already know. I like a little bit of blanket under the top of my thighs, just a little bit, so that my thighs aren't like unsupported. I've got a teeny bit of support under the top of my thighs. And your hands are back by your chest, and breathe. So breathe, bring your elbows in, bring your shoulders away from the floor, bring your collarbones up away from your ribs, and then roll your shoulder skin back down, cobra. Elbows are still bent, high or low cobra, downward facing dog. Come to downward facing dog. Stretch your legs back as much as you can. Yeah, good. Stretch your legs back. Plank. Come to plank. Heels back, thighs up, chest forward, abdomen firm. Breathe. Child's pose. Widen your knees. Take your hips back by your heels. Child's pose. Now you can rest your head on that nice little blanket. Now that you're here, notice your side body, notice your waist, things that you might say, how does everything feel? And then come back to your belly, lying on the blanket, hands beside the torso, under the chest. Breathe. Bring your shoulders up. Bring your collarbones forward. Bring your shoulder skin back. Cobra. Breathe. Downward facing dog. Come to downward facing dog. Side body long. Spine centered. Legs really strong. Come forward into plank, keeping those very strong legs. Breathe. Child's pose. Separate your knees. Bring your head down. If you would rather have your arms back beside your hips, if your arms are kind of shot, you could do that. I don't mean your arms are shot. Of course, our arms are not shot. We're strong students, but you know how to take care of yourself. All right, come back to the blanket. Pelvis down, hands beside the chest. One more. Breathe. So now you're making this choice about your legs. I have continued to keep my heels slightly separate, just for the sake of my lower back, but you see what you think. Now, shoulders up away from the floor, collarbones forward, shoulder skin back, cobra, downward facing dog. So really long pose here because we can do it now. We've really been moving so much. Downward facing dog, thighs really active, breathing. Come forward into plank, really strong legs. Child's pose. Knees wide, rest your hips. Arms can rest as well. And now come up and get a chair and get a block. So we're going to start just in a simple passive twist. So when we do our passive twist, we're going to do the normal one where you walk your feet to the right. But when you do it, I want you to keep your block between your knees. So you won't be able to walk your feet back and forth, obviously. But here we are. Knees are going to be squeezing a block. And that's going to help us keep our hips centered the way they should be. So lift up, before you go anywhere, lift up strongly through your torso, through your spine. Breathe. And now take your hands back toward the back of the chair. And again, sternum up on the inhale, and on the exhale, turn. Turn toward the right, drawing your right elbow back away from you, away from your hand. Sternum up, exhale, turn. Sternum up, exhale, turn. And then come back to center. And if you're very talented, you could try to keep the block between your knees, but I don't think I will. Go to the other side, but I like the block between my knees because then there is no opportunity to shear off with one knee or the other. They just can't do that. So sternum up, really tall spine, tall center spine, hands to the back of the chair. Sternum up, really tall spine. So sternum up, shoulder skin in the back away from the head. Exhale, start turning a little bit toward the left. Inhale, lift up strongly with your sternum. Exhale, turn. Inhale, lift up strongly. Exhale, turn. And then come back to center. And now we've got the block, and we're going to sit forward and put it between our feet. So just sit forward on your chair. When you sit forward on your chair this time, though, you're not as relaxed. You're sitting a little bit forward in your chair, and your feet are around that high block. So just be where where you can be depends on you. But if I sit back too far, this just doesn't work. So I'm sitting forward with a little bit of my hamstrings and my buttocks. And then the block right between the feet, and breathe. Hands on the thighs, elbows down, sternum up, really, really tall, breathing. And take your I'm not going to mirror you, take your left hand to the block and take your right hand to your sacrum. And then lift your sternum so far forward that you feel like you're not going to fall off the chair, but you've definitely shifted forward with your torso. And then breathe and start turning to the right, bringing your right elbow back behind you. And then inhale, lift your sternum up, exhale, turn. So inhale, sternum up, forward, exhale, turn. So you should get to this position where everything feels really integrated in terms of your shoulders, your back body, and your front body. And then come back to center. And now the right hand will come down and the left hand will go on the sacrum. And then before we go anywhere, we just really lean forward with our sternum. So everything gets very long in the front body. And then breathe and start turning to the left. And then every time you think of turning, lift your sternum first and take your elbow back. So sternum up, forward, inhaling, exhaling, and turning. Sternum forward, exhaling and turning. And then unturn. And now put your left hand down again, and now take your right hand back to the chair, back. So this is the way Joe has taught us. And I love this twist. And I love particularly holding onto the back of the chair, because then I feel like I really have some purchase on the back so I can lean really far forward. So now don't hold back, lean forward, and start twisting to the right. And then you've got your hand on the back of the chair. So that's another source of feedback for you. You might be able to take your hand and move it more toward, I guess, the left side of your chair, and then lift your spine up strongly. Inhale. So here, this is an even more, exuberant twist, right? This is a little like Virabhadrasana 1 in my thinking, because everything is so lifted. And then undo. That backhand provides a lot of safety, I think, for our back. Gives you something to stretch from. Put your right hand down, left hand on the back. Really lean away from that hand. You know your own body and what feels right to you. Sternum forward, and then start turning. And sternum forward, and start turning. And sternum forward, and start turning. And then walking your hand maybe further back. That could possibly be something you would want to breathe. And then undo. And then, so we're going to keep the block, and we're going to sit on the floor facing the chair. And so I would suggest some lift under your buttocks. And then your block is going to be behind you. So we're just going to do simple cross legs facing the chair. And then you're going to bring your left arm onto the chair seat. And your right hand behind you. So another twist. And these are all such nice twists. So now that we're here facing the chair, getting yourself ready for this, left forearm comes over the top of the chair. And then the right hand comes behind you. Maybe you don't need the block, but I find it helpful. So I've got a block back here. And then we're going to really lift our sternum up. So here you have to, because you're sitting in cross legs, you have to really get the sit bones conscious, because one sit bone, they both have to stay down. Sternum up, exhale, turn. So sternum up, exhale, turn. Sternum up, exhale, turn. And then just gradually start turning back, but stay firm in your torso. And then your right forearm over the top, your left hand behind. Sternum up, exhale, turn. Sternum up on the inhale, exhale, turn. Sternum up, exhale, turn. And then gradually unturn, keeping everything pretty tall and firm, and cross your legs the second way. So now your legs are crossed the second way, and your left forearm comes across the top of the chair, right hand behind you. So right away, you make this movement and things start shifting in the sacral band. So you might want to be a little more, be a little less ready to go than I was. Have your left forearm on the chair. Have your both sit bones in your consciousness, abdomen up. And then take your right hand behind you so you're not so quick to lose the sit bones. And then sternum up on the inhale, exhale, turn. So sternum up on the inhale, exhale, turn. Sternum up on the inhale, exhale, turn. So now just be here for a moment and just keep turning gently. Just be where you can be. And then come back to center. Now the right forearm over the top of the chair, the left hand behind you. So now again, this time, it's funny, the first time I felt like I was too quick and my buttocks changed, but the second time I didn't have any problems. So I think I kind of taught myself. So right forearm over the top of the chair, left hand behind, sternum up, inhale, exhale, turn toward the left. Inhale, lift your sternum up, exhale, turn. Inhale, lift your sternum up, exhale, turn. And then unturn, but really keep your abdomen firm. And then move the chair away from you and stand up and chair dog. So once you stand up, move your blankets aside, your block aside, and chair dog. So nice long chair dog. Just tonight, if nothing else, is about being tall and about being centered. And we can do it all through all these poses, and that is always our goal in yoga. So in your dog pose, in your chair dog pose, just feel like your side body is beautifully extended, long. And you're just breathing into your pose. Good. Really nice. Now bend your knees, step forward, and come up. And then turn the chair around. Or if it's at the wall, you have to turn the chair around for sure. And then we're going to put our hands on the top of the chair and just step our feet back. So this is a little bit like a right angle pose at the wall, except your hands are on the top of the chair back, so you can stretch your fingers away from you. It's not as, it's not taking the hands up as we do in right angle pose at the wall. Just be really long, but have your fingers stretch away from your hips and open your armpits and just notice side to side. Is one armpit broader than the other? Is one armpit higher than the other one? Just as long as we're here in kind of a simple pose, do a few observations of your armpit area, of your shoulder area, and breathe. Side body is always long, legs are always strong, everything is so centered. So you're tall and centered and your abdomen is firm. Breathe. And then bend your knees and step forward. And the next one is a wall hang. So sometimes you might need a block for a wall hang. I will use my wall for this because you can't do a wall hang without a wall. But in my wall hang, my feet are somewhat away from the wall because I'm stretching through the hamstrings. Then you place your sit bones on the wall and you bend your knees and you pick your sit bones up even higher. And then you Velcro them to the wall. And then you bring your hands out in front of you to a block or to the floor or to a chair or whatever. So wall hang is another pose that we use to extend our torso. Nice. Okay, now take the chair away. We're not going to use the chair. We'll use it again in a while. And get a belt and lie down on the floor. So with a belt on the floor, we're going to work on Supta Baddha Gustasana just a little bit. So here's another pose that works on being tall and centered, except that it's in a position of lying down. So get yourself on the floor with your legs together in Supta Tadasana so that you're really, really in the Iyengar world, right? In fact, in my Iyengar world, before I ever lie down, I look to make sure I am even on my sticky mat. I mean, that might be part of my mental disorder, but it's also an Iyengar thing of don't just lie down any which way. Because he would say, Iyengar that is, would say, then your reference points are all off. You just don't know, you just don't know what you're looking at. So being as centered as you can on your sticky mat and then lying down in your Supta Tadasana with your hands beside you, and you've got the belt at the ready, but we're not going to use it yet. So with your feet stretching away from you, then take your shoulder skin and slightly move it away from the neck and toward the shoulder blade bottom. So, what happens in a lying down position is the shoulders start hiking up toward the neck. We don't want that. And before we go anywhere else, take some time to see how much of your legs are down in the back on the floor, how much of the leg you can feel against the floor, both legs. It might be really different side to side, but you have to rectify that. That can't be. If the left inner leg is down more than the right inner leg is down, that's no good. Get them identical, whatever they are. And then keep your left leg just the way it is. Don't let it shrink a bit. And bring your right foot knee toward you and put the belt around the foot. And just stretch your right leg up. So Supta Padangusthasana. So we're looking, but the way I want to do it tonight is this is what I call Supta Padangusthasana 1. I want you to take your left arm over your head and palm up, fingernails down, and just stretch your hand away from your foot on the left side, just to get your left side body as long as you can, and then start adjusting your right thigh away from your face, away from your abdomen. So the right thigh has a tendency to come forward, as we know. So whatever you have to do to get that right thigh very firm at the top and breathe. So the left arm is stretching, the left leg is stretching, the right arm is stretching because it's holding the belt, the right leg is stretching. Now take your left arm to the side, away from your shoulder. Take the right leg off to the right side, keep the left side down. Don't let the left side come up at all. Just everything that you felt in your left leg, try to maintain that and stretch your right leg away from that. And breathe. And now stretch into your right foot so that your foot is kind of pressing into the belt and the belt is pushing the foot back toward the hip socket. And breathe. Now bring your right leg up and meet the right hand with your left hand right at the top. And take your belt into your left hand, your right arm to the right side. Take your left leg over across the midline and actually even a little bit toward the left hip. So a little further than we usually do with this crossing the midline. Just really stretch into your right foot and don't fall over. And breathe. And now bring your right leg back up with your left hand. Transfer the belt to your right hand. And then remove the belt and bring your right leg down. And then you may want to readjust yourself. As much as we try to stay the same, when we're working only one leg, things do shift. Now bring your left knee up and belt your left foot and stretch your left leg up and hold the belt in your left hand. And just get yourself situated first. And by situated, I mean even on both buttocks, lengthen through the right leg, left leg, and then take your right arm over your head, kind of stretching away from the right foot. When you stretch one body part against the other, sometimes you get more length. So feel like your right foot is really pressing away from the hand, which is pressing the other direction. Breathe. So your right side body should be very long. And now adjust your left thigh away from your abdomen, away from the torso, so that the leg and the torso are not so mushed together. They're very distinct. Breathe. Bring your right arm to the side, your left leg to the other side, and keep as much purchase on the right leg as you can, so that you don't want to just lose that. The right leg stays where it was. Breathe. Now bring your left leg up, bring your right hand to meet the left hand, take your left arm to the side, and now stretch across with your left leg across the midline. And maybe, you have to see how this is for you, but maybe you could go more toward the side of the hip, stretching with your left leg, maybe. And then come back up and get the belt from the right hand with your left hand now, and then take the belt off. And bring the right leg up. So the right leg comes up. Now the left hand is going to start on your left thigh. So put your left hand on your left thigh and breathe. And bring your head toward the shin and your shin toward the head. And then bring your head down, because now your leg is a little closer. Bring your left arm overhead, stretch it away from the left leg. Bring the left arm to the side, stretch your right arm to the right side, right leg and arm to the right side, stretching through that foot, breathing. Bringing the leg back up, meeting the hand with the left hand, exchange the belt, right hand to the side, right arm to the side, come on to the left, toward the left hip. You have to decide how far you feel you should go. It's not bad for the hips, but you have to think about other things like your hamstrings and your groins. And then bring your leg back up, get the belt into your right hand again, and then take the belt off, and then bring the left leg up and do the same now. Belt the left foot, hold the belt with your left hand, and your right hand is going to go on your right thigh. And breathe. And breathe. And get yourself really centered now. Again, back to both buttocks being on the floor, the right inner leg being long, your spine being in the center, everything. Now bring your shin toward your head toward your shin, and breathe. And then once you get your leg further, then take your right arm over your head and stretch your hand away from your foot, and breathe. And bring your right hand to the side, your left leg to the other side. And then bring your left foot up, left leg up, grab the belt into your right hand, left arm off to the side, go toward the right hip. If that works for you, you have to say, is this right for me? And breathe. And then come back up, grab the belt with your left hand, and then take the belt off and squeeze your knees in toward your chest. And then shoulder stand. So shoulder stand using a chair, shoulder stand using 3 blankets and a belt. The other options are setu bandha on the block. So one of those, setu bandha on the block, or shoulder stand on a chair, or shoulder stand with the traditional setup of 3 blankets and a belt, or however many blankets you use. And Get yourself situated. Get yourself set up for this. If there's any reason that these options don't work for you today, then you could also always do Viparita Karani with your legs up the wall. But let's try the others. How's our sciatica patient? Yeah, yeah. Do everything you need to do to relax that, huh? Getting the setup for shoulder stand takes a couple minutes, not a couple minutes, couple moments. But once you get set up into whatever you're going to do, then we'll start talking. If you're going to do traditional, what we consider a traditional shoulder stand, then come into halasana. Swing your legs back over into halasana. But otherwise, of course, if you're on the chair, you're not going to do that. And if you're on a block, you're not going to do that. So if you're on the block, you could bend your knees to start with if you like, whatever you like. And if you're on the chair, of course, you can put your feet against the wall if you're at a wall, or just against the chair, or upright, whatever you're doing. But if you're in traditional shoulder stand, then your hands are walking down toward your shoulders. Your hands often start toward your waist, but you're trying to move them down a little closer to the rib cage. And then the better you can get your hands against the rib cage, the more you can be upright in the pose. That looks really nice, Danielle. I can see that. Yeah, good. And so, yeah, if you're on a block in Setu Bandha, you can bring your legs up into like a shoulder stand. That's just fine. And so all of us now are upright. If we're on the block, we're up. And if we're on the chair, our legs are up. So take your legs up if you're on the chair as opposed to back. In chair shoulder stand, when you take your legs up, it's considered Viparita Karani and chair shoulder stand. And that's true for Setu Bandha too. When your legs are up like that, that's more of a Viparita Karani. And if you're in shoulder stand, regular shoulder stand, keep walking your hands lower. And by lower now, it means toward the shoulders. Now breathe, and separate your legs into a wide leg position. Now, if that's right for you, now if it's not right for you, don't do it. But if it's right for you, stretch your feet away from each other and stretch your legs away from each other and breathe and breathe. Very nice. Now bring your legs back up. Good. Stretching your legs up. Now bring your feet into Baddha Konasana. Yeah, that looks nice. Sometimes if Baddha Konasana isn't your best thing, then don't do it. But it does look nice, and it's definitely part of what we do in shoulder stand. And then breathe, and bring your legs back together and up. So stretching your legs up. And if you're in shoulder stand, then you're going to take your right leg halfway down. If you're in Setu Bandha on the block, just bring one leg down and keep the other leg up. If you're in chair shoulder stand, you're kind of trying to lower one leg a little bit, but you can't lower it too much. Good. That looked good, Polly. That looked really pretty. Now go to the other leg. Bring the first leg back up and then go to the other leg. Good. That looks good. Everybody looks great. Yeah, I like that. Oh, Bernadette, that's beautiful. Really nice. And Helen, I love the block. I think I love that. That looks really good. Nice. Now bring that leg back up. Beautiful. Beautiful poses, really. Yeah, everybody that can see, and I can see Alyssa, that looks beautiful, and Katie, that looks really great. Jen, Thomas, you're on the chair, that looks good. Everybody's looking good, great. Now, just breathe and stay up for a minute. Now keep staying up and centering yourself with your awareness and your inner legs. And if you're on the block, that's true too. You know, everything is very similar. That looks great. Breathe. So you're looking toward your chest with your eyes. You're looking toward your heart. And your face is relaxed. And you should start feeling pretty relaxed. Shoulder stand is a very relaxing pose in a lot of ways because it just brings so much attention toward the throat. So your chin moves, your chest moves over your throat more in shoulder stand. And that's what gives it this very relaxing outcome. Maybe it doesn't feel relaxing when you're doing it, but the outcome of it is very nice. Breathe. Now carefully, slowly start coming down. Just however you're going to do it, because we're in different setups, but be very careful when you come down that is a nice way of coming down for you. So if you're on the chair, of course, you come down to the lift that your shoulders were on. If you're in Satchubandha, you come down slowly so that the block moves to a lower level and you can relax a bit between them. If you're in this halasana now, then roll out of halasana. And before you come off your lift, now maybe you already did, but before you come off your lift, one of the things I heard that I thought was interesting is let the hormones circulate before you come off your lift. I mean, because we're going to bring our shoulders down further, I know, but sometimes there's a lot of hormones that have been generated that can circulate right through your chest and your throat and your head, and now come off the lift so your shoulders come down. And that's where we're more comfortable then. We're more comfortable when we do that. Relax your face, soften your jaw, just be here. And then when you're ready, just roll out of the pose and do some version of child's pose. If you've got the chair, of course, you can just rest your forearms on a chair and put your head on the forearms. Or if we're in the regular shoulder stand, you can just do a child's pose of some kind. Okay, now we're going to get ready for Shavasana, and I'm going to suggest that you take one blanket and fold it into a rectangular shape that's somewhat skinny. It's not a trifold. Sometimes we do a trifold. I'm not really asking for the trifold, just a narrow blanket. And then you're going to put that on the floor, and that's going to be for your upper body, and you need a blanket for your head. The thing that's nice about this isn't quite the setup yet for pranayama, and we're not doing pranayama, but it does have some of the same aspects to it. Because when you lie down, you'll feel the chest is really elevated and the side body is really moving away from the center downward, because you'll feel the edge of that blanket against your back body, which will be very nice. So I love this Shavasana where I like this setup for pranayama too. If we were going to do pranayama,
Barbara, can you lower your screen? We can't see the setup.
Huh?
Can you lower your screen? We can't see the setup.
Thank you, Bernadette. The setup is like that. Do you see the narrow blanket and then one for the head? So that when I lie down, I bring not my waist, but maybe the two vertebrae above my waist onto that lift, and then the blanket for my head, and I'm like so. Okay? Because when you get there, you know the support under your torso is not huge, but it's enough to let you feel center sideways directions. Now, when you get into your shavasana, make sure that your lower back feels extended. Make sure that your shoulder skin is moving away from the neck if you need to make an adjustment like that. If I was there, I would hold the back of your head and I would just let your shoulders broaden and then replace your head and press your shoulders down so that your shoulder skin would move away from the top of your shoulders. But we can't do that for you now. So you kind of have to make your own adjustments there. But just let your body sink now, sink toward the setup. The back of the head on the blanket, very comfortable. The back of the torso on the lift. And then just feel the broadness across your center body, across your chest. So from the center body, from the spine, from the center of the chest, the skin is moving sideways toward the armpits, toward the rib cage, toward the edges of the waist. And the back body is just sinking down, just sinking. Just following your breathing, following the inhale, following the exhale. Relaxing your face completely. Just allow your jaw to completely relax, your throat to relax, the skin on your face to relax. From the bridge of your nose toward the temples, toward the earlobes, and the jaw. Just breathing and enjoying this relaxation. Your legs, your arms, heavy. Your torso completely relaxed. The back of your head feels supported. Your face is relaxed. Very nice way to end a practice in Shavasana. It just gives us this moment of going back inward, going back in. We've done a lot of different poses, but now we're just back into our own bodies, into our own minds, just sinking down, feeling just good, I hope. Now gradually begin to increase your inhalation, bringing your awareness to the inhale and deepening it a little bit, not a ton, just a little bit. And then the exhalation, nice and soft and long. But returning again to the inhale and taking a slightly fuller, deeper inhale, and then a slightly longer exhale. Place your hands on your abdomen and thank your body. And then when you're ready, you're just gonna roll over to the side, rest on your right side.